right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hello, everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your day to be here. Is there any public comment for matters not on the agenda but under the city's jurisdiction? Ms. Ruby, would you like to talk right now?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Okay.
So I have my road closure request for our bike safety rodeo. It's going to be on May 31st, so not this Saturday, but the next. And it's just that street in front of Heritage Park, Pine, and then up C Street, just to, the parking lot by the pool. So, and that's just strictly to put like the, bike wash station, and we're gonna have the ambulance there with like a touch the truck event and stuff. So, if we can't do C Street, like, we can make it work, but it'd be nice to have that extra space for the trucks and stuff to sit.
Are there any questions from council on this?
And there's proof of insurance for Rotary, because they are our partners on that. And we don't need any barricades or anything from you guys. Rotary helps us out with that too. And I think that should be about it.
Okay. So this is not on the agenda. We have next Tuesday to call a special meeting if you think this topic is worthy of allowing more public involvement in it.
The bike rodeo has been a popular program every year. If there had to be one that came in at the last second under the wire, this is probably it. Fair warning, we're working on an event ordinance that this would fall under, and when that ordinance goes into play, you will have mandated
And that's
headlights.
absolutely fine.
Okay,
It got away from me this year, and next year I plan to start planning like December, January, so that we have, and part of it is too that since we do it with the hospital, I don't think we even had a date until like April. And like middle of April.
may I make a motion?
I'm gonna do that now. We'll get to it.
Okay.
We'll get to it. Is there any other public comment for matters not on the agenda but under our jurisdiction? Okay. Council has the minutes from May 6, 2025. Council has received those. Are there any corrections or additions to those? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
I move we approve the minutes from May 6, 2025.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from May 6, 2025. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Okay, I will take up the request for the street closure. Given the presentation that we had earlier, are there any comments from the public here tonight? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the request?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the request for the bicycle rodeo.
May 31st,
May
8 AM to 1 PM. All right, is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the street closure checklist for the bike rodeo, May 31st, 8 AM to 1 PM in Heritage Park. Street closure to be South Pine and halfway to the west on C Street. Are you impressed that I got that direction?
Oh, I don't know the directions. You could've said anything.
Is there any discussion from council? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. All right, Ms. Ruby, you got that? Council, would you sign this?
Thank you so much. Again, I apologize that it's late.
Not something we wanna make a habit of doing.
No,
Okay,
I'm usually better at that.
yeah. Oh, sorry. Eric, do you have comments as part of Director of Public Works? Calling you right now and give you an opportunity to get to your kids' games.
Oh, okay. The only comment that I wrote down at the bottom of my time is I was gonna ask that, council maybe really consider bumping up the water ordinance for the bulk water rate. It appears I keep getting more and more calls for people wanting to buy bulk water. I actually had an inquiry today about a person who wants to buy 110,000 gallons of water a day, for the foreseeable future. I don't, I'm working with the mayor and our engineers to see if it's even feasible for us, but anyway, I really wanted to encourage council to maybe bump that up on your to-do list.
Where we at now?
It's, if I remember correctly, it's 9,000, gallons for essentially the flat rate, and then every gallon after that, every 1,000 gallons after that, it's 90 cents.
And right now, under the current water rate structure, what fits best, because we don't have a bulk rate, what fits best is the service line out of that hydrant, basically. And and so it gets charged the metered rate for that size service line, which really, I think, undervalues the city water.
Absolutely.
Yeah, substantially, yeah. Yeah,
Yes, that is on the water ordinance review. It
But it
is.
sounds like this
We can-
rate is something we have to
Meeting.
address at the next meeting.
Oh, yes, let me do some checking into that.
yeah.
Anything else, Eric?
Nope, that was it. The, streets projects is coming along really well. The water project's coming along really well with their street work that they're doing. Everything is going rather well all the way around, so, yeah, I'm very pleased, so.
In light of that, I have a business card from a relatively new asphalt business out of Helena that I'll just give to you there.
Okay.
Next time we need to request bids, we can include them.
Sounds good.
Any questions of Eric? Okay, yes.
Did they say what they wanted all that water for?
They're very vague. I don't know.
That's a lot of water.
That is all.
I questioned it, and she even said that you're never gonna believe this request, so yeah. I'm trying to get
First-
information out
So,
of her.
so first of all, as Eric said, he's contacted our engineers to see if that's even a feasible draw of water, particularly given that, here, probably sooner than any of us can imagine, we're going to be wanting to fill a 1 million gallon tank and do all kinds of
Keep it
tests.
full.
Yeah.
Connect the boat.
And that's not your water tower right now.
It's not going to
Yeah.
Bozeman.
Yes, and to put that in context, 110,000 gallons is about half of what our current water tower holds, little over half.
Do we know when they need a decision?
Tomorrow.
So I already told him that's not happening.
Right.
You know, so I said, I gotta figure out, I gotta see if it's even feasible, you know, so, yeah.
I would hate to pass up an opportunity for city revenue mayor, so we leave it in your hands to, if necessary, call the council to a special meeting to
That's a lot.
address this.
Cause the other thing to keep in mind, council, is, there will be, times this summer, I'm operated down a well, maybe even potentially 2 wells. So that's where all this is really gotta come into play, or I don't know.
It's really a bad time for that request.
Yes, if it was a year from now, I'd be saying, hey, this is what we get to do.
Oh, and
But I
then,
mean,
you
right
know, if you
now,
have an emergency and he needs to pull water out of a hydrant, then you're even in a worse situation water-wise. If you have a
The
fire.
average structure fire is about 35,000 gallons of water. Average.
Right, 3 of them makes what they want for a day.
So now you know what we know we're doing doesn't sound, the engineers tell us it's not feasible,
Yeah, then it's a non-issue.
it's a non-issue.
Yeah, I don't think you can charge enough, honestly.
We gotta get that fixed, we gotta get it fixed, even if it's not for this situation, just future,
Cause
Yeah.
those pumps, they don't give them away, do they?
that they don't give them pumps away.
But talk
Yeah.
about liquid assets.
I really, this is, I mean, I see the concerns and I see the worries, but all that means is that the price per gallon is higher.
You know, cause literally I sold water this winter, in the dead of winter, to the railroad, as they were grinding down the tracks for part of their fire protection. You know, so I mean, it's, even for that instance, we gotta fix this, you know, so.
Well, 'cause every city first is paying for water, right?
Okay. Certainly, if you feel the need to leave, you can.
I'm out. We'll go watch
Thank
some
you.
baseball.
Thank you, appreciate that. First item on our agenda tonight is fireworks ordinance drafts. You have, two proposed drafts for your consideration. The first one in your packet is one that has been edited after the first time you saw it. The initial draft done by the committee. And that is a 5-page document. The second item is one that Vivian put together that is simplified. Pardon me?
Are we voting on it, or is it?
Well, council has seen one draft of the fire ordinances. There were a number of comments that led to some edits there. Enough of those comments that led to a simplified version being drafted, and what council needs to do is look at these, and you can decide what you like about each one of them. You can decide what you like, if you like one in general or the other one, but it's time to move forward with this. And so with that, are there any comments from council members?
I'll make it short and sweet, thank you, Mel. They're both great, I just, think the one that's not the other, which is fun.
Okay. On the short and sweet version, since Nate likes it, on C 9.08.010, I'm not exactly sure that I can get behind someone who wants to come in and put on a private show doesn't have to abide by A and B. So they're not required to follow time constraints. So they can just, anybody can go and get a license to professionally set off fireworks, and they can set off a show at 4 AM, 4 o'clock in the morning, because this ordinance says that they're allowed to if they have that permit. I don't agree with that.
Well, that would have to be approved by council though in the city.
Going to interject here. Council members, you've got to speak up so that the cameras can pick up your voices, so that the recorder can pick up your voices, so that Carrie can write the minutes, so that anybody who has a free moment and wants to watch these council meetings online can hear what you're saying. Go ahead. And the next thing that happens is we've got a whisper.
So the reason that's in there is because if they wanted to have fireworks after a baseball game or, you know, some other time of year where they wanted to have a, say they're celebrating Townsend's 200th anniversary and they wanna have a fireworks display, So that's why the permit and stamp fees are in there. And it would be up to the office staff to write those permits and those requests, just like they do for street closures and things.
Yes, Nate?
I made notes at the house, I apologize, I didn't bring it, but I found the one that I was just questioning was the December 31st, sorry, B, 9.08.010B, fireworks may be discharged on December 31st, which is New Year's Eve, from 10 o'clock at night, which is normally pitch black at like 4:30. So 10 o'clock, everybody's probably gonna get to bed, and then to 1 o'clock in the morning, which is 1 o'clock is fine, but the 10 p.m., I mean, it's kinda like the 4th of July, it's kinda like a day, it's just a celebration. There's probably gonna be snow, most likely. I'm just questioning the 10 p.m. That's,
Yep.
It's just
Right.
closer to the New Year hour rather than an all-day thing, you know, where people can just, so it minimizes the time just for that New Year instead of throughout the day where, you know, people are disturbed.
okay.
And item D, there's a reference to 9.9.010. Is that a typo? And it should
Yeah.
be 9.08.
Yes.
I actually think that that was my issue, was not C, but D. I apologize.
Other comments?
My only other comment that I have, and this would be on both of them, is I would like to see the general penalty section be in compliance with everything that's in the ordinance book. Because, we did go through there and try to make everything just kind to where it would be similar all the way across the board, and I don't think that these do that. And if I may, the only other one that I had would be on, the one that was adjusted based off of the last comments. 9.08.050 permits for firework displays. I, displays on private property that could violate the city's noise ordinance. In this ordinance, it states that the council would establish by resolution what those would be accordance to this ordinance, but they have to inform neighbors living within 100 feet of whatever display they're putting on. So again, I don't know why we continuously need to have everybody's permission to do
Right.
anything.
Comments or responses to that?
One of the concerns that came up during the committee deliberations was that people didn't always know what was going on. When the issue was occurring at a holiday, everybody knows what to expect and why. But when you're addressing the issue of somebody setting off basic bang makers without permission from the city, but the neighbors don't know what's about to happen, the anticipation is that the neighbors are going to be upset. The expectation of telling your neighbors what's about to happen is merely a means of trying to avoid issues being brought to the city, and city resources being consumed trying to explain, minimizing impact.
So you're anticipating that people will be setting off fireworks outside of Fourth of July and New Year's Eve?
Yeah, the larger ordinance is anticipating the capacity to gain a permit that will allow people to use fireworks during off-season periods. The most obvious reason that would be used would be something like the school, one of the teams taking state, and somebody wanting to set off fireworks to celebrate that wonderful event. But there's little difference from a legal standpoint between parents or a school-based organization wanting to celebrate such an event and a single family wanting to celebrate a wedding.
It's just a lot of notifying in my book.
Yeah, alright. Light it back up.
I don't believe it creates a problem with city liability. In fact, if anything, it reduces and minimizes city liability. From the city council standpoint, it's certainly not a burden on our part. People who never expect to get such a permit, it's a non-issue. So really, what's the problem being perceived?
I just don't feel I need to go tell somebody what I'm gonna do.
You're going to do something out of turn, and although you've got
Because
cities.
within the days and the hours, I don't have to go tell somebody what I'm doing.
I apologize, we might be talking about different things. You don't need to tell your neighbors anything during the periods of accepted public use, so like July 4th. This is for something like April 10th. It's not a normal firework period. There's no expectation of your neighbors to hear fireworks or see fireworks.
Baseball team wins state
Right.
championship and they wanna set off fireworks, so if they're gonna set them off at the high school, then everybody around the high school has to be notified.
What if they say no?
Right, but what are you
I
gonna
don't
do?
want you to
Somebody
do
might
that.
make a
But,
decision.
but we have the same issue with the events ordinance, and it exists already. The issue isn't that they have a veto. The issue is that they have been reasonably informed. And if there is a concern, that concern can be addressed, but they never have the veto.
Yes.
There's been examples, or let me say, there's been an example of when the boys or girls, whoever, took one state, where it was, and they took second or third, they came back. People had some fireworks, we set them off right here from the school, and they came to town, we didn't ask anybody, no, I don't think anybody was mad. So I just don't know.
That may be the
That's not
case,
normal.
but all,
It's against law.
if one person had made an
Forget it.
issue of it, the city could have been sued something ferocious and would have lost. Because it was
It
against
was
the
the
law.
business owner that had the fireworks, it was not the city, the business owners wanted them off.
Yeah, but we're the ones not enforcing the law.
It was at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm thinking the city members, we didn't ask for permission at 1 o'clock in the morning, or midnight.
You ask for it several weeks in advance.
How do you know you're gonna win states a couple weeks in advance?
They bought the fireworks sometime. They certainly didn't buy it at midnight.
You can have them year round in your garage, I'm talking about lighting them off. That's
Do
what they did.
we want to open up fireworks all year round without recourse?
Well, some of the basketball or some of the things a certain time of year. They don't win every year, I'm just saying, if they do win, people are excited about it.
And I want them to be excited about it. But
Then what are you asking, you want me to go ask the neighbors if
Yes.
somebody can?
I don't want you to ask the neighbors, I want you to tell the neighbors, if they win state, we'll be setting off some fireworks.
You're not gonna know
Why don't
until
you
the
put on
day
the
of
choice?
Nothing's guaranteed.
And where's the enforcement if they say, no, I don't want you to do that, because they won state?
Yeah.
So that'd be right then.
There is not a veto in this bill.
Well, that's what the permit is for, if they have
It's
the
all-
permit,
All this is
they don't have to
reasonable.
do the notification, it's already been,
This
they
is
have a
nothing more
permit.
than the expectation of reasonable notification that something's going to occur.
I think we're splitting hairs on that, that's.
Yeah.
So, in the shorter version under enforcement, we cannot dictate what the Broadwater County Sheriff's Office will do. We cannot say they shall enforce these rules.
as
this-
the current
yes,
ordinances stand.
Yes, they would.
Right.
What I'm talking about is the specific language in this section. We cannot tell them they have to do it.
Right,
We work with them under an interlocal agreement that was amended within the last year to identify the ordinances that we want them to specifically.
so what language would you use there instead, is what I'm asking?
I'd get rid of A and I'd start with B.
Yeah, Mayor?
Yes,
No ordinance needs to state that there is an enforceability issue unless there's something different from what's normal. The sheriff's complaint isn't that they don't feel authorized to enforce our fireworks ordinance. Their complaint was that they don't feel like the way the ordinance is presently written is enforceable.
Well, I had, different conversations than you did, and so you can go with what you.
You had a conversation that claimed that they didn't feel like they had any authority to enforce our fireworks
When I went
ordinance.
to the jail and I spoke with Nick on the tour,
Yeah,
you know, he said that he didn't feel that there was really anything in there that they could enforce. And by the time they got somewhere, you know, with, you know, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. So, that, you know,
but that's my point. His issue isn't that he feels like he doesn't have the authority to enforce it. He feels like the current ordinance isn't enforceable.
I might just say that.
No, actually, you've been arguing that there needs to be a statement that they have the authority to enforce.
Okay.
This is the reason why the mayor is saying that you don't need that statement, is because the existence of the law makes it something to
Which is
enforce.
why I crossed it out and asked her what verbiage she would use.
That's why she said it was not necessary.
Right.
and I think that, well, I'm not sure that section is at all necessary because
You wanna do that?
these would be the sections that are required to be followed.
Mhm.
And if there are allegations that there's been a violation of any of these things, then the people who are charged with determining non-compliance or following up on all that have processes in place.
Right.
So doing the investigations, issuing the tickets, which could be pay a fine or a notice to appear, and those kinds of things. So I'm not sure that would be necessary. The longer version I see has references to event ordinances, so I'm wondering if, which needs to be done first.
Because Doug and I have been sitting on both committees, the committee-based version of this ordinance was developed in tandem. When Vivian submitted her own version for independent council evaluation, none of that was taken into account.
Okay. So, what does council want to do?
Leave them like they are.
Current ordinances?
Yeah.
Certainly, leaving the current ordinance in place is an option. You have, you could accept either of these versions and move forward for a legal review and then public hearing. You could identify parts that you like out of each one, create yet a third version, and move forward with that. What I'm telling you is that this is your decision.
Can I make a comment, Mayor? A decision to move forward with either of these requires me to abstain, because I developed the first, I was a participant with the committee in developing the first version. Therefore, I have a biased opinion about which one should be selected. I'm disappointed that the committee process has been circumvented. And we're kind of new at this, and getting used to how we want to proceed with ordinance reviews. If we want to permit, if we want to allow the city council to become a committee of itself, where it's reviewing multiple proposals, that seems redundant to the committee process. Why have them? It's either perceived as a level of micromanaging that's unnecessary, or it is a certain